Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.
People, it is the Edge Life. It's another
7.
Sunday. I'm telling you, it's another Sunday, baby. What do you think?
It is.
I'm excited. I'm
I
excited.
am too. Great topic for this evening.
Yeah, tonight is gonna be off the chain. So
Tonight is the
let me go ahead and just say this. Go ahead and hit that share button.
Yeah.
Share this out with somebody, especially those people who are in committed relationships, who are married, who are looking to get married. You want to be in the conversation and be in what we got going on tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of being in the conversation, we invite you to jump in the comments. Like, you got questions, maybe we got answers. Maybe you got answers and we just got questions. So we can help each other out.
Yeah, we can definitely help each other out. And I will say this. Listen, Carrie mentioned putting your questions, comments inside of the comments box. We will be monitoring them. We'll be throwing them up on the screen. We want you to be involved in this conversation today, because honestly, it's a convo, you know, and what we're trying to do tonight, we're trying to bring you in to just a conversation that, you know, we may have. So we're going to be talking, but we definitely want you all to talk with us as we talk about this dope topic tonight. Speaking of topics, what is the topic? I know somebody's probably trying to ask that question, and it's this. When you're talking about relationships, right? When you're talking about being married, is it about the love or is it about the work? Like what makes relationships stay? Is it the love that makes a relationship stay?
Last?
You like last better? Yeah. Okay. Well, is it?
A lot of people just stay.
A lot of people do just stay. That is true. That is true. So, but what is it, right? What is the thing that would have two people stick together? Is it the love or is it the work? And part of the reason where this is coming from, we have had many people, you know, they've said things like, you know what, after some careful thought, after a little bit of time, I think I've fallen, say it,
in love
or out of love.
Oh.
One of the two is happening, right? You're either falling in love or you're falling out of love. We hope that you're falling in love and not out of love. But I guess the real question, honey, is, can you really fall out of love in a marriage type relationship? Like, do you think people forget why they got married in the first place? Like what happens? In your opinion, what happens with relationships? What happens with people when they're in these deep, committed relationships, they're married, and then all of a sudden, it's gone. It's over. I'm ready to give up on this thing. Like where do you think the mental psyche comes from to have somebody say, you know what, I'm done. It's over. I'm ready to give up.
Well, it's not about love when you're at that point.
It's not about love.
No, because love is a choice. So you've literally chosen something different.
Yeah.
You're choosing not to choose. You're choosing, So it's not about love at that point.
Yeah.
It's about, you know, a selfish desire. It's about feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, where you said, you know, love is a choice, and it's something that you choose every single day. You know, when you are in a committed relationship, when you're in a marriage with someone, you literally choose every single day to be in that relationship, and in making that choice, there are certain things that you're going to do when you make that choice. You know, one of my favorite little memes that I see is this old couple. It's an older couple. You can tell they got grays. They're all saggy and everything. But the guy, I mean, he's old, right? To, huh? Right. But literally the guy sitting and the lady sitting there, they're back to each other. It's raining outside, and I can imagine, you know, they both could be getting wet. They have this one little bitty umbrella, and the guy's sitting there and he's holding the umbrella up over his wife, who I perceive it to be her head, right? And I'm like, wow, you know, he's mad. His hands are, but I'm like, you know what? That's a great picture, even though it's horrible, but it's a great picture of marriage many times. And although it's raining, although there are things that, you know, have them frustrated, although it's not a beautiful day outside, you know what, they're choosing to be there in the rain, back to back, mad, frustrated, whatever it is, but they're choosing to be there together. And that's something that, you know, I wish all relationships could get that, especially new relationships and new marriages. I wish that they could get, you know, it's not always going to be peaches and cream inside of a marriage. It's not always going to be perfect. You know, there are going to be some times when you just don't like the person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's a difference between liking them in the moment and actually loving somebody, because love, as you said, it's a choice. It's something that we must choose every single day, and it's something that we get to do.
Yeah, and I think with that picture, even more what I pull from it is, you know, the choice to cover.
That's good.
The choice to lend something that you have and sacrifice for the other person. And that really is what love is. You know, it covers someone else's weakness in the moment. So it's giving what you have, your strength that you have, to cover someone else in their weak moment. And, you know, when people say they fall out of love, I think it's just that moment of selfishness. Where you're just choosing to want something different, something else. And there are legit marital problems.
Yeah.
You know, there's cheating and there's lying and there's abuse and those sorts of things. But a lot of times, you know, we're not seeing the big things. The enemy doesn't have to use the big things.
Right.
He uses these small things, like our choice. And a lot of times our decisions can be very emotive.
Yeah.
But we have to choose.
Yeah. We do have to choose.
Choose to love.
You know, when I think of love, you know, I always go back to 1 Corinthians 13, you know, where it talks about love, like love in its entirety, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it smells like. You know, one of the things that it says in there is like, you know, love has no record of wrongdoing. And I was like, ooh, you know what I mean, that's serious. You know, I also think about wedding vows, you know, and with wedding vows, it speaks to us. It says, you know, for better or for worse, richer or for poor, sickness and health, till death do us part. But so often, you know, you're excited about those things.
Well,
I mean,
people say, I didn't know when they said worse, it meant this.
What did you think worse actually meant then, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't think that it meant that.
Yeah.
Right?
I see we have a comment here on our YouTube about the Brookings Institute poll, which shows that women initiate 84% of the time initiate divorce.
Wow.
You know, and again, I think it goes back to what I said. It's, you know, a lot of times our decisions are emotive.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is true. You know, women can be, I'm not trying to stereotype gender, but women can be more motivated out of emotions. And we've talked about before how men at times when there are problems, especially in the marriage, become very disconnected in that place first. And, you know, I really think that that's a trick from the enemy. You know, if a woman needs to be connected to emotionally,
right,
in hard times, and a man disconnects emotionally when times are hard, you know, those are two polar opposites. So what do you think is going to happen? So having a revelation of that can keep you from being in that place. So.
Yeah. And to your point, I think it's important to really understand some signs and things like that. You know, in a lot of the marriage counseling we do, we speak about when things get rough, right? When things get rough, you know, and you mentioned it, men, we have a tendency to disconnect, right? So we will disconnect. We will take our ball somewhere and we'll go and we'll play in the man cave by ourselves. You know, we don't want to talk to nobody.
And then women, we become independently willful.
Absolutely.
And we make our own decisions without consulting God or our husbands at times. And so the scripture that Valiant Thor quoted here, Ephesians 5:22-24, where it says, wives submit. So, you know, just completely not being submissive at all. We become willfully independent. Right. Not submitting ourselves to God, not submitting ourselves to our husband because we don't feel we can trust him because he's emotionally disconnected. So it's like this, it can really be this vicious cycle that if you don't recognize it. But when you go to Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, we all hear that read at weddings too, just like vows. But love hopes in all things. love is full of belief. And a lot of that belief has to be in, you have a blessed night too, Valiant Thor.
Thank you, Valiant Thor.
Yes,
we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Blessings.
But a lot of that, that hope, it keeps you hanging on.
It does.
Okay, trouble doesn't last always.
Yeah.
It's fleeting. It's for a moment. But when you hang your hat on it, and just decide. You decide because trouble's happening. Okay, I'm out. I fell out.
I think you bring up a great point, especially for marriages. We have to know and understand that trouble does not last always. At the end of the day, the sun will come up. Especially in relationships. You're doing everything that you can do. Sometimes things look up, sometimes look down. But it's kind of like riding a roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. You're gonna be up. And you're going to be down, but at the end of the day, through the turns, through the ups, through the downs, through the valleys, it'll stop.
Yeah.
And you will be able to bring balance again, but you got to stay buckled in. You can't jump out of the roller coaster when the roller coaster is going, right?
You can, but
well, yeah, you could,
that's
but
bad.
that would definitely not be good, right? You got to stay inside of the roller coaster and rock with the thing, because ultimately it will come to a stop. And when it comes to a stop, I think it'll be a good thing.
I mean, the thing is, if you jump out, you're going to cause more harm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, we think divorce is the answer. But honestly, it's like jumping out of the moving roller coaster. It's just going to be different. The grass is not all, I'm using a lot of cliches, but these are the things that we hear over and over. No, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just a green light on brown grass. If you haven't heard that one, you can use that. So Jairus Brown asks here on Facebook, he says, looking from a single man's viewpoint, do you think that marriage has the same value, still holds the same value it did when you guys got married and when your parents got married? So we have been married. We've been together for almost 30 years.
Yep. A long time.
We've been married for 21 years.
Yep.
And value. So just looking up value, it says, in regard that something is held to deserve the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. So that's what value means, the importance, the worth, or the usefulness of something. And so, to that, I would just say that, yes, so the value is still the same.
Yeah.
Now, I think the perception, so there's a difference between value and perception.
That's good.
So I think there's a worldly perception that's been superimposed upon the godly institution of marriage. And it truly has skewed.
Yeah.
So it's made it to seem, it's a trick from the enemy, that marriage isn't valuable.
Right.
Because it's through the marriage union that really Christ is able to move into work.
Right. That's good.
Not that he can't move through single people,
right.
Because he definitely does. But he ordained that connection between Adam and Eve from the very beginning and gave them a purpose here on the earth.
Yeah.
And the enemy would like nothing more than to see Christianity as it exists to come to a demise, which there's no better way to do that than to have no Christian marriages procreating Christian children that will have Christian marriages, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, Jairus, to your point, again, I think it is a worldly view or perception of marriage, and that's a trick from the enemy to keep us from being in this institution that God has blessed, the 3-strand cord that is not easily broken, that through it comes purpose and fulfillment in the kingdom.
Yeah, and I think this is a really, really good question, especially when you think about how society, as you spoke about, is society is really coming heavy at marriage, it's to the point now to where, society would say that, oh, you don't have to be married. You don't have to. Even to the point now, it's like, you don't even need to be married to have a child no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you want a child? Hey, you want a baby? You want a baby? Hey,
you don't even have, no, you don't even have to say, you want a baby? You want a baby?
Yeah.
You can be like, hey, little test tube, I want a baby.
True indeed. True indeed.
Popsicle.
And there it is.
You and a popsicle can procreate.
Right. But here's the thing. I truly believe it goes back to something that you said earlier. It was God who ordained marriage. He ordained the institution of marriage. And I think it holds the same value because I don't think God has changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we look,
there's no thinking about it. God has, listen, y'all, I don't know what he's thinking. He has not changed. He cannot be changed.
If you think about it, he says he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Yeah. So what he started from then, it hasn't changed even now, right? There's reasons that he does what he does. Even for us, I think about, as a single man, when I read the scripture, it says, for this cause, shall a man. You know what I'm saying?
It's a cause, y'all.
For this cause, for this reason, right?
Which, guess what? It means that there's some work. Yes, so absolutely. And Ricardo had posted here also on Facebook a comment about, the man being the head of the household. So God, he implemented the institution of marriage, and he is a God of order, and there is a certain order, biblical order to marriage. That does not mean that the woman is lesser or even less capable.
That's right.
She is a helpmate. And without her husband cannot fulfill his purpose. But yes, there is an order. The man is the head, and he is under, it's like an umbrella. So you have God the Father, his son or the husband, and then the wife, and then the children under that. So when you are not doing things in order, whether it's emotionally disconnected, whatever the case may be in your marriage, when your marriage is out of order, and the man is either not covering the woman and or the wife and children, or the woman is being willfully independent
and trying to reposition herself.
Yes, and she's trying to reposition herself. Right. That that she's uncovered. And that's, not the correct order.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we look at that Ephesians 5 scripture, a lot of people will go to that and, they'll say things like, the woman needs to submit to the husband and this. And I hear that and understand where it's coming from. A lot of times, though, we don't look at a little further in the scripture also, because it does speak to us. In verse 25, it says, husbands, it tells us, it says, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her to make her holy, cleansing her with the washing of water by the word. He did this. So there's a reason. He did this to present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or anything like that, but holy and blameless. And I bring that up because I think sometimes we look at the one side. Wives, this is what you're supposed to do. And I hear and understand.
Put the blank, looking for a place sometimes to place blame.
Right. And that's not what the scripture is saying, because again, to your point, although we are the same but different, right?
Yeah. And honestly, I think it shifts the responsibility back to the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're going to be the head, you do have
there's a responsibility.
And the weight is heavy, but you have a helper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's here to help you and to submit, which honestly is one of the highest forms of respect. And it takes a strong person to be able to follow the leadership of another. Yeah. So it's not a dirty word, ladies, at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And to that, go ahead.
You have to be able to be followable.
Right.
Right. And he says, hey, you want your wife to submit to you, respect you in that way, because that's what men need is respect, and women need love. Then guess what you need to do? You got to love her like Christ loved the church. Like Christ loved the church. Like, whoa, what an analogy is that?
That's heavy. Because
I don't even know. I don't want to be a man. Like, after I hear that, come on, ladies out there. I don't want to be a man. I just want to submit, because I ain't trying to love somebody like Christ loves the church. I ain't that good. Hey. And I did say ain't, because I ain't, y'all. I ain't that good.
But it's serious. I think, to your point, it's a huge responsibility and a huge weight. But here's the thing. When I can be who I am and you can be who you are, there is this synergy in this I don't know. There's something that happens in the coming together.
He puts his super on our natural.
There it is. It's like my wife and I. We talk a lot of times. God gave me a purpose, and I know we've talked about this, to where I've been trying all of my life to fulfill this purpose.
I've been trying all my life,
all
Papa.
my life. Come on, some color purple people know what I'm talking about. All my life. But anyways, so I'm trying to fulfill my purpose. I'm trying to do it. And check this out. I'm looking everywhere else except the place that I need to look. And it wasn't until I literally looked at my wife right here that the answers that I needed to find out here, I found right here. And when she was able to then give me the answers, you like how I just pulled you in right there?
I did.
When she was able to give me those answers, it gave us a fulfillment, because now our purpose, right? Because I have a purpose, she has a purpose, but check this out. We have a purpose. There is a reason, right? That God puts two people together. And when you can look in each other and find the fulfillment that God placed in both of you in each other, boom, there is something amazing that happens right there. I know it happened for me, and I guarantee if you talk to other married couples who literally have allowed their spouse to be able to pour into them and to pour that purpose into them or pull that purpose out of them, man, that's literally a game changer right there. Yeah. It's a game changer.
And I mean, for me, I can remember the season, there's been a number of times, but especially when we were planning a church, and he was looking for all the answers and, associate pastors and, different things like that. Great, awesome people, good friends, wonderful people. But here I am, like, literally saying, hey, like this or that, and just felt completely dismissed in that season.
Yep.
And, I could see him struggling, but he didn't recognize that I was his help.
Mm-hmm.
And until he had a revelation that I was his help, we couldn't have that synergy, so to speak, that we talked about in our purpose together. So I think for me, I just kept trying to stay strong and be humbly submitted, because I knew there would come a time where there would be that revelation. And when I think about what husband and wife do, it's leveraging. So when a man and a woman come together in a marriage, it's literally leveraging. And leveraging means the exertion of force by means of a lever or an object used in the manner of a lever. So one thing hits another and it causes movement to happen.
Yeah.
And so there has to be they're equal but opposite kind of forces that are happening to cause things to move.
Yep.
And so God is not looking for you to be exactly alike. He's not looking for you to stop being who you uniquely are. But you bring the me or I to the we. In the leverage, because both parts of a lever do two totally different things to accomplish one common goal.
That's good. And without those pieces working together, the goal can't get accomplished. The goal can't get accomplished. So with that being said, because we're talking about the goal being able to get accomplished, and if you don't know it, today we're talking about this thing called love, and we said when you're talking about marriage, when you're talking about relationship, is it love? Or is it work that keeps relationships together, that keeps marriages together? What is it? And today we want to just take a look at a couple different questions today. So the first question we really want to look at is having good chemistry enough to keep the relationship growing? Is having good chemistry enough to keep the relationship growing? You all tell us what you think.
Let us know what you think.
Put that down in the comments box. We definitely want to hear from you. But is having good chemistry, and when we speak about having good chemistry, a lot of times, people like, I don't know what it is. When I get around her, just boom, boom. I mean, it's like fireworks. Something is. We just have good chemistry, right? Is the chemistry enough? Is that the thing that you have to keep a relationship growing? What is it? What does it look like? You know what I'm saying? What do you think, honey? Is it the chemistry or what?
So when I look at the definition of chemistry, I'm using a lot of definitions, y'all, but I think this is how we get clarity. It's a complex emotional or psychological interaction between two people. Okay. So keep that in mind. Emotional and psychological interaction between two people. And I would say that it is one part of the triune being, which we are. So there's more to us than just our emotional part or our psychological part.
Okay.
But that intenseness, it does draw people together.
Yeah.
But I believe that you can have that with more than one person because you're flesh. So this is an attraction of the part of
the flesh,
of the fleshly body.
Yeah.
So does it go away? Absolutely it does. Because our flesh becomes desensitized over time.
Let's talk about that right there.
To anything.
Yeah.
Just like, for example, let me give you for example.
That's good.
Thursday, we had to take hot stuff out to the car.
Yes.
How do you do taking hot stuff anywhere?
I don't do too good because my hands and they're not made for hot stuff. like they don't work properly when I'm trying to lift up the hot. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? Maybe when you get in the shower, you can't have, the heat, the water on scald your whole body. You know what I'm talking about? Like
that's like beyond hot.
Yeah. Like I know my wife will get in the shower, the bath, and her water will be on scald. I cannot get in that.
When we take a shower or a bath together, y'all, we're married. It's okay. Like I cannot. You're gonna have to compromise. I'm like, well,
hey, baby, hey. You,
No.
She
wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
like for real.
Y'all wasn't ready for the comment, but exactly. He wasn't ready for the hot water. Like you would have thought this brother right here gonna melt.
Listen,
like, he chocolate and all, but he ain't really chocolate.
I felt like I was gonna melt, because that thing was too hot. So no, I don't do good with the heat.
So getting my mind away from the shower and bathing together, going back to the analogy, trying not to lose this, y'all. So me.
Yes.
What is my reaction to taking hot things out of the oven or carrying hot stuff?
Listen, y'all, the other day she picked up like a whole pan. She got to the door and she's like, oh, this is getting hot. I was like, don't drop it. Now, she had a long hallway to go down. She had to go outside to the car, and she was still holding on to that thing. Literally, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. In my mind, I was like, if it's hot now, like your hands are already burning now. Why could you do it? Because she has mom hands. That's why she can do that.
So mom hands. So that was kind of my point.
Yeah.
So I've been desensitized because I have exposure to that over and over.
Yeah.
Not that he can't cook. He maybe can't cook. He doesn't cook a whole lot.
I work my gifts.
I'm trying not to throw him under the bus. It's not necessarily his calling. He wasn't meant to be a chef. But what I'm saying is the flesh gets desensitized. And so chemistry, because it's a component of our flesh nature or our physical selves, even though we're talking about it, and it literally means your psychology or being connected emotionally. Our emotions, y'all, are probably even worse than our flesh. I mean, how many of y'all been sitting there 1 minute and you having great, wonderful thoughts about butterflies and roses, and then, like, literally,
the
next moment you crying and you don't even know why you are. I mean, we are so not stable.
Right.
But going back to that, chemistry is only serving a need of one component of who we are as a being.
That's good. That's good. So when we think about it, then the chemistry, because it's only serving that one piece or that one component, it's not enough. It's not enough to keep a marriage going. It's not enough
because it doesn't. Right. It doesn't. It might fulfill the mind for a little while, but the soul is empty because it's made up. In the spirit, the soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions.
Right.
So your body, your soul, and your spirit. So unless marriage is the only thing that has a solution for all three of those.
Yeah. Y'all got to get that right there.
Marriage has a solution. That fulfills
all three.
Yes, the body, the soul, and the spirit.
That's right.
The body, the soul, and the spirit. That's the three components of a human being.
So when we think about it, having good chemistry with someone, it's not gonna grow the relationship for the long haul.
No, I mean,
I mean, if you think about
trying
it,
to have a booty call, I mean, it's probably sufficient, but I don't recommend it.
Well, think about it. Like we've seen a lot of people, especially our Hollywood folks and people like that. I mean, you see them; they got great chemistry. You know what I'm saying? Like you see them, and it's like, oh man, they are so compatible.
Can you see that?
Well, just from what the perception of other people.
Again, it's
right?
the perception.
It is.
They seem like they work really well together.
Right.
Well, they're still in lust. They're not desensitized yet.
But that's my point, though. You know what I'm saying? With them being in lust, as soon as they get married, they only married for 2 days because real life hits. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Real life hits, and the honeymoon is over.
They don't realize the value. Anything that has value first required an investment.
Yeah. Yeah,
anything of value first required an investment. And so the problem is, if you want to get the true value out of your marriage, you have to make an investment. And to be honest, I think the worldview of marriage, the reason why people don't seem to value it as much is because they don't want to make an investment, which I think leads us in kind of to the next question.
Yeah, let's look at question number 2 tonight. Question number 2. What do you need to be fulfilled in the relationship, right? In your relationship, in your marriage? What are the specific things that you need to be fulfilled in the relationship? And I really think you touched on it, right? Because you talked about how, especially when we just have chemistry, we have a physical connection.
Yeah.
But marriage, right? It's so much more than just a physical connection.
Well, and I mean, again, going back to chemistry, it's more of like a really emotive kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And after that wears off, I think sometimes we even realize we don't even have the physical connection we thought we had.
Yeah.
We're just so emotive, like, in the moment, impassioned. And then you realize, like, I don't even really like that.
Right.
I'm not really even down with that.
Right.
I kind of let my emotions run wild there for a little while.
Right.
But yeah. So again, if you want to really be truly fulfilled in a relationship, it has to be an in-order relationship.
Right. Yeah. And I like how you said that. It has to be an in-order relationship.
That does not mean perfect.
Right. But here's the thing. The one thing that you know about an in-order relationship is when you put something in it, you're going to get something out, right?
Right. Like you put $1 in a Coke machine, you get a Coke out, right? Something is produced from that.
Something's produced from
that. But
that
again,
thing.
you have to be willing to put something in it.
That's right. To
get something out. See, the problem is, the reason why people want divorces is because they're in out of order.
Yeah.
They're already out of order. So why am I going to put something in an out of order Coke machine? Because I already know I'm going to have to kick it, shake it.
Come on. It's already jacked up.
Yeah. So I'm not.
Yeah, I know you was getting ready to sing the song. I mean, shake it, don't break it.
I mean, if it's broken, I know I'm not getting anything out of it.
Yeah. So why do I want to invest in something?
Why would I invest
that I know I'm not getting anything out of?
There's nothing of value coming from it.
That's right.
To me.
That's right. So when we stop and we think about it, what do you need in a relationship, right? To really be fulfilled. What are those 3 components that you spoke about earlier that you need in any relationship to truly be fulfilled and really to help your relationship grow? What are those things again?
Well, I would, first of all, it's your spirit. So your spirit man, your spirit woman. Number 1, you need to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Number 2, you need to have a we relationship. Because again, it's a 3-strand cord is not easily broken.
That's
so
good.
if both of you aren't in relationship with God, then that's only a 2-strand cord. It's one or the other of you and God. Or maybe you don't even include God in it. It's just a 2-strand cord, right? And it's still only a 3-strand cord is not easily broken. So number 1 is a spiritual relationship, a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and then a collective we relationship with Jesus Christ. And then when you look at the body, hear me, y'all. He said to be fruitful and multiply, which requires action.
That's right.
It requires intimacy. So there are certain physical needs that in a marriage you can explore and fulfill.
Yeah.
But part of the problem, I think it's like 9% or less than 9% of married couples are open and comfortable about talking about intimacy in the relationship. So how do you think the enemy gets us? So if we are physical beings and we're prone to have chemistry, and just like I said, it can happen because we are physical.
Right.
and draw us away into our sin nature, then we must make sure that that's an area of our life that we are,
that's
fulfilling. It's fulfilled.
Absolutely.
So our intimate part of our relationship. And then when you look at the soul is made up the mind, the will, and the emotions.
Yes.
You're thinking, you're choosing, and you're feeling. So your mind is the thinking part. Your soul is your choice. That's where love comes from, is out of the soul. But again, the soul it's got 3 parts.
That's good.
And they're talking to each other.
That's right.
So you got to combat the mind that's thinking, and then the emotions over here that are doing all their feelings.
Yeah, they run wild.
So,
right.
And they sandwiched in between,
right,
stuck in this thing called flesh, and the spirit, if the spirit's not in there, ain't got nothing to balance. So you have to feed the soul.
Yeah.
And, that comes through your spiritual relationship, and then also the physical relationship that you have with your spouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just the choice. And choice is a reflection of your disciplining yourself.
That's good right there.
Most
that's
people
good. Yeah, that's good.
are not disciplined.
That's good.
Not truly disciplined in their life. And because of that, there's out of orderness in the relationship.
Well, and that leads us, Jairus Brown had a question up here. He says, what do you do when you put money in a working vending machine and it gets stuck? You
don't put more money in it. Well, first of all.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say just keep on throwing money in it. What I would say though is it's pretty simple. You go to the owner of the machine. You know what I'm saying? You get to the person who owns the machine and you say, "Hey, I put some money into this machine, right? I put something in this machine.
If you don't want me to break your machine, Jesus,
come on."
I'm being real. I keeps it real. He's trying to be all delicate over here.
But that's definitely being real. You got to get to the maker. You got to get
find
to the
1-800 number on the top of that machine.
Yeah, and you be like,
call this for your refund.
Yeah, call Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Call Jesus. He can fix it.
Have you tried Jesus?
He's all right. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Jairus, I'm saying this and I'm being funny, but in all honesty, man, you got to get to the maker, right? You got to remember when we talk about, the ultimate relationship in marriage, God ordained that. This is God's doing. And because it's God's doing, it can also be God's fixing, right? The way that you don't go to the machine and shake it. You don't go to the machine and kick it. Because
that was before I was saved. I wouldn't do that now. Unless I really need a candy bar. And then I would
But here's if you kick the machine, if you break the machine, then you're at fault, right? If you shake the machine and somebody come, they're gonna have you on YouTube somewhere.
Sometime when you shake the machine, you get more than one candy bar.
You might. But y'all see what I deal with. But the reality is, if you really want to get the machine back in working order, you have to get to the person who can fix the machine. The owner of the machine can fix the machine.
Yeah, they have the key.
They have the key.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They can open it up, give you your candy bar, your Coca-Cola.
And your money back.
You know what I'm saying? They can do all of those things because they have access to the machine.
And fix why it's stuck. Fix the problem. And so, it's different when you're not married.
Yeah.
I mean, you still, if you care about the person and you're moving towards marriage, then you definitely you take the same the same steps. But after a certain time, if a machine is out of order, you don't keep going back.
You don't keep on putting no money in that thing.
I mean, you might be hungry, but you also looking at your dollar like, okay, if I trust this machine one more time, I'm gonna just be still hungry.
You ever do that? Like you see,
and the owner out, he's in Zimbabwe, and you can't get him for like 3 weeks.
Get to it, right?
I ain't got time.
You just lost that dollar. Just mad,
and hungry. You're hangry. You're just hangry. So some people are just hangry because you keep on putting money in an out of order machine. So you got to ask yourself, what's the issue with this relationship, and really seek God on that. You got to seek Him regardless.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank.
And I will say this: in your seeking of God about the reasons that the machine is out of order, you have to be willing to act on what he says, because I truly believe there are a lot of times that, you know, we may be in out of order situations. We may be in situations that we know are not right, and we ask the owner, and the owner gives us the answer, and then we'd be like, let me just ask you one more time.
Or you don't want to do what's required. So in a marriage relationship, if the machine is out of order, it could be no function of the machine. You trying to put Canadian quarters in a U.S. Coke machine.
Right, that's good.
And you're thinking that you're gonna get the thing of value, but you're putting the counterfeit, trying to put the counterfeit and pass it off as the real thing.
That's good.
So you need to ask yourself: is it the machine, or is it my investment? Are you trying to pass off a counterfeit? So it's not gonna take something counterfeit. You can't trick the machine.
Come on, you can't trick them. Oh, what? What? Number 3, y'all. Number three.
Moving on.
Is the word work seen as a bad thing in a relationship? Is the word work seen as a bad thing in a relationship? You know, a lot of times we hear people say, hey, you know, you got to work in the relationship. You know, relationship is work. But does the word work just have a negative or a bad connotation? And the reason I'm asking that is because anytime I ever think about work, specifically hard work, a lot of times that's something that you don't want to do.
We know. You just cringe, don't you,
Yeah, you're
honey?
like, oh, man, hard work? Oh, I don't want to do that.
He's like, man, I'm going to break it down. No.
Right. But there are so many people who do think like that, to where they're like, oh, man, you know, this is work. I like vacation. I like sitting around. I like watching TV. I like wasting time. I don't like this thing called work. And when you think about a marriage, a relationship, a committed relationship that requires work, does that word work just have a negative connotation?
What does Proverbs say about a man that doesn't work?
They don't eat.
Okay, you hangry. I'm going back to the analogy about the machine. You ain't got no money to put in it. Stop being mad at the machine, because the machine ain't giving you a Coke when you're thirsty, but you are not putting anything in it.
Yeah.
Somebody come on and hear me. You expecting a whole lot out of him or her, and you ain't putting nothing in there because you ain't gone and done no work because you broke. You just broke.
You just broke.
You broke because you ain't working. No, I seriously think, like, people... Okay, so going back to Jairus, is definitely using that analogy. A man that doesn't work doesn't eat. So if you want fulfillment, if you want... Eating represents satisfaction. No, satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. Yeah. That's what I say. It's not easy to say. It's probably not really a word.
I don't know yet.
So, but eating, okay,
it
represents satisfaction.
Yeah.
You want to be satisfied. We all want to be satisfied. But some of us don't want to be satisfied. We want to be pacified. Satisfied comes from work.
Yeah.
Pacified comes from your immature self sitting around waiting for somebody to take care of you.
That's good.
And you're always in need and you're always in want. Think about a baby.
Yeah.
A pacifier is not feeding them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a counterfeit again.
It's a counterfeit. Absolutely.
It's just taking the place of that. So yes, I think it is looked bad, but I promise you the results are good. And that's why the enemy makes people say, oh, well, marriage is too much work. I don't want to do it. But because he doesn't want you to get the value that's in it. It is so worth the work. The work itself in marriage is satisfying.
Yeah.
You should find it pleasing.
Yeah. And there's something to the investment that you put into it. You know, I was thinking, you know, I got my brother, he got another truck not too long ago, man, and you know, it's his. And my mom the other day, my mom was like, he won't even let nobody drive that truck.
Shoot, no.
You know what I'm saying? But I was like, because he made the investment in that truck. You know what I'm saying? He put his hard-earned money
that he had to work for.
You know what I'm saying? And because of that, he's like, I work for this thing, so I value it differently than other people because they didn't have to work for that thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, or it's like gardening.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when you do gardening at your house, you're not getting paid for that.
Right.
What you get from it is the ability to step back and look at what the work of your hands has created and enjoy and become satisfied in that which you see that is growing and prospering. And it's the same thing with a marriage. But so many times when we say work, you have to work at the relationship, people have this expectation of something in return. And that's not what love is.
Wow.
Love does not expect anything in return. It gives freely.
Yeah.
It chooses to lend and give, and it does it freely.
That's
For
good.
God so loved the world that he
gave.
He gave.
That's right.
He didn't ask for anything in return. He just kept on giving.
That's right.
And he's still giving.
Yep. And when you think about a relationship, when you think about a marriage is that giving and not expecting anything in return. Because think about it now, if I'm giving only to get,
you're putting in a counterfeit. You're
Canadian dollars. That's all that is.
That's all it is. Trying to get something.
That's it. Trying to get something for real.
Trying to get some.
Well,
then
there you go.
Keep it clean.
Last question then. When we think about relationships and we think about marriage, we talked about work. I really like the word effort, right? I like talking about, being able to put.
It's more palatable.
It is palatable, but is the relationship worth the effort? Is it worth the effort that you put into it? And I would say this, especially in marriage, you know what I'm saying? Like when I think about my wife, man, she is so worth the effort. She is so worth the time. She is so worth me putting the investment in her and vice versa. Like literally, she is so worth it to me because I know that there is something so much greater, right? Because of the investment, because of the connection, because of what God is doing. Like there is so much greater in that. There's so much greater when we can come together. I get so much more fulfillment in watching her be fulfilled. Like literally, I love watching her fulfill her dreams. My wife, she's shifted careers. She's back in school right now, but I get so excited. Like literally, she's in school right now. She keeps on getting hundreds on papers. I would have took a 75 and been happy, but she don't do that. She's getting A's, but I get excited about that. You know what I'm saying? Like there literally is fulfillment that comes from making that investment in your spouse. There's fulfillment that comes from working the relationships. No, it's not always perfect. It's not. But there's fulfillment that comes from the work and from the effort that you put into it.
Yeah, and I'm just going to totally flip it. I agree with everything you said. But I want to add one thing to it. And I think this is so important. It depends on what your goal is. It depends on what the end in mind is. All right? So it's worth the effort if it matches what your end is. So the Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he said, I wish that all men would be like me. And then he goes on to say, now to the unmarried and the widows, I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried as I am. And he goes on and he says, but if they cannot control themselves, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. And to the married, I give this command, not I, but the Lord. A wife must not be separate from her husband. And then it goes on and it talks about divorce. And so what I would say is, if your goal and your end in mind is to share your life with another, and you feel that that's what God is calling you to, and that's what you desire, then that's what you should do. Just like it says here. It basically says if you can't control your passions,
then you may as well
need to
go
get married.
Do it. Right.
If you feel like you want that type of intimate relationship in your life and you feel like God is calling you to that, then that's what you should do. But there is nothing wrong with being single and putting the effort into yourself and your walk with God.
Right. Absolutely.
And so that's all I would say. But I agree with everything you said about the marriage relationship itself, since that's like the whole topic of this discussion.
Right.
Is the effort is definitely worth it. And honestly, when God is in it, the effort is effortless.
That's good. That's good.
When God is in it, the effort
is effortless. That's good.
I don't feel strife.
Right.
I don't feel strained. I mean, we don't always, everything is not always perfect for us, and we disagree. But I don't feel striving when it comes to my husband.
Right.
I don't feel that ever with him. And so when God is in it, the effort is effortless.
That's good right there. That's good. Now listen, I'm just going to ask y'all this. What are you doing to make your effort effortless? Like what are you doing in your relationships to make your effort effortless? You know, today we started the conversation. We were asking the question, you know, we said, hey, listen, is love worth it? You know, what is this thing? Is love worth it? Is it really worth it? And I'm just saying this, I truly do believe.
Is it love or work that'll keep you together?
It's love is worth it, man. The work is worth it. But at the end of the day, you know, it's something way bigger than you know, just the feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's truly something that God has done to put two people together for his purpose. And it's him ultimately who's going to pull that purpose out of those two people. Yeah. So at the end of the day, is it love or is it work?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's
both a labor of love, if you will. Every relationship requires work. And there should be love. I mean, if you have a real relationship with someone, love should be in it.
Yeah.
And we could go into the different types of love. It's different in marriage than it is in a friendship. But love is there because love, it's an exchange.
That's right.
And a choice.
That's right. It is a choice that we get to make.
We get the opportunity to make.
We get the opportunity to do it.
That's right.
So choose it, y'all.
Yep.
Choose it every single day.
I choose you every
day.
day.
I choose you, girl. I choose you. I choose you. So listen, y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight to The Edge Live. It has been our pleasure to hang out with you all tonight. We hope that you got something out of the session today. Do me a favor. If you did, go ahead and like this station, like this channel right now. Go ahead and share it out with somebody because there might be somebody who needs to hear exactly what we're talking about today. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are getting close to crossing another threshold, and your like, your subscribe would definitely help us as we continue to move forward to continue to bring you dope content every single week. Listen, tomorrow, if you are out and about around 7 o'clock, make sure you tune in. Life on the Edge will be here tomorrow. That is where sports, culture, and faith collide. So we definitely want you to tune in tomorrow as we chop it up. Got a lot of topics that we're going to hit up tomorrow as the heat is going to be on tomorrow. So with that being said, babe, last comments. What's the last thing you got to say? Anything to the people. Anything to the people.
I love you. That's all I have to say. And that's not being cheesy.
Hey, she loves you, but I love you too.
I do.
I love you too.
Hey, don't put Canadian coins in a U.S. machine.
There it is.
Hey.
There it is.
Hey, counterfeit.
God bless y'all, man. And we will see y'all next week, man. This is the Edge Life 7.
Edge Life.
Peace.
Edge Life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that Edge Life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the Edge Life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that Edge Life. Oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the Edge Life.